Hi, and welcome to Gokuri's Kitchen. For this week, we'll show you how to make one of our cake recipes, carrot cake with cream cheese frosting. Before we start, preheat your oven to 180 degrees para ready na siya for our cake mamaya. For the ingredients naman, we'll need about 150 grams of carrot, vegetable oil, roasted walnuts, cinnamon powder, eggs, a can of crushed pineapple, granulated sugar, all-purpose flour, baking soda, salt, and vanilla. For the full list of ingredients, please check the description box below. Now let's start with the carrot. Peel and grate with a grater. Isang carrot lang ang nagamit namin sa recipe na to. We would need about 1 to 1 and 1/3 cups of grated carrots. Once that's done, we can now start combining our ingredients. In a bowl, whisk 2 large eggs, then add the vegetable oil and the sugar. Then mix again. After that, we can add the vanilla, crushed pineapple, and yung ginrate nating carrots. After mixing, gamit ang isang salaan, isift na natin ang mga dry ingredients, starting with the all-purpose flour, baking soda and salt, and the cinnamon. Then, haluin lang ng mabuti. Pag nahalo na ng mabuti, we can now add the roasted walnuts. This will add extra texture to our cake. To roast your walnuts, initin lang ito sa isang kawaling walang mantika hanggang sa ma-roast at lumango. Then, i-transfer lang natin to sa isang 8-inch round baking pan. Make sure you put a small amount of oil and cover your pan with baking paper para mas madaling ilabas yung cake pag luto na. Ayan, pwede na natin siyang ilagay sa oven. Cook for about 20 to 30 minutes. Para malamang luto na ang cake, gamit ang isang toothpick, itusok lang ito sa gitna ng cake. Pag malinis na ang toothpick at hindi na basa, ibig sabihin niyan luto na ang cake nyo. Let it cool to room temperature. Pag malamig na, using the back of a small knife, tanggalin natin ang cake sa pan. Tapos, baliktarin ito sa isang cooling rack. Kung wala kayong cooling rack, pwede nyo nang skip tong step na to. Once the cake is removed from the pan, let it cool inside your refrigerator for about an hour or hanggang lumamig na yung buong cake. Now, we're ready to frost our cake. Gagamit tayo ngayon ng cream cheese frosting. This is the frosting we use for a red velvet cake. For the recipe, click the information button on the upper right corner of this video. Before we start frosting, magtabi tayo ng about 1 cup ng frosting sa isang piping bag na may star tip. We will use this later to decorate our cake. To start frosting, Maglagay lang ng konting frosting sa board or plato na lalagyan nyo ng cake. Gagawin natin to para di gumalaw yung cake sa board. Then, ipatong na natin yung cake bottom side up. Start frosting the top of the cake. And then the sides. Try to smoothen your frosting, pero di kailangang perfect. Basta makover lang yung buong cake. Pag satisfied na kayo sa frosting nyo, clean the sides of your board with a paper towel. Ayan, we're ready to decorate. Gamit yung sinet aside nating frosting kanina, pipe it around the cake. Kayo na ang bahala kung anong design ang gusto nyo. Tapos, you can put more roasted walnuts sa gitna ng cake. Lastly, we will use candy toppers to decorate our cake. Makakabili kayo nito sa mga baking supply store. This is it! Carrot cake with cream cheese frosting by Gokuri's Kitchen. Don't forget to like this video. For more recipes, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to get notified when we post new videos. Thanks again and see you on our next video.